Hello, my name is Aaron Tu, and I was an exchange student at Dayuan International Senior High School from 2013 to 2014. I was 15 years old and a sophomore in high school when I went over from my home in Seattle, Washington. A little bit more about myself. I am half Taiwanese, but when I went over I didn't speak any Chinese. I couldn't make a sentence, so I basically started off from scratch when I went over to Taiwan. My dad's half Taiwanese, but we didn't speak any Chinese growing up. And also when we went back to Taiwan, it was my whole family going back, not just me. So I didn't go with a club like Rotary, like I'm guessing some of you did. So some of the differences between us are present, but I feel my exchange student experience, especially at Dayuan, applies to you guys greatly. So we'll hop into some of those differences now. So some of the expectations you guys can have out of your Chinese is, depending on how much you study, how much class you have, you'll be able to get a decent grasp of Chinese by the time you leave Taiwan. You won't be perfect. You'll still make mistakes when you talk. You'll still have an accent. But just know that your Chinese will be a lot better than a lot of any foreigners that are learning Chinese in their home country. You'll be able to grasp a lot of the more advanced concepts, a lot of the more advanced grammar. You'll be able to have everyday conversations with people, say things like, what do you want to eat, order your favorite food at your favorite restaurant. I know I'm kind of to the point here, but just know that you'll be very proud of your Chinese that you'll be able to speak. You can talk to your classmates, you'll understand, the basic things, but just know, like, things that are more advanced, like if you wanted to talk about politics or like more social issues, you won't be able to do that yet with your level of Chinese. It's just an expectation you have to have. With harder study, or if you got someone to teach you that personally, then you will do, you'll be able to pick it up. But from the general classes you'll take at Dayuan and from your daily interactions with just other people in Taiwan, you can expect a fairly decent level of basic Chinese. So just putting that out there for you guys to know. So some of my advice about going to school at Dayuan would be definitely to try and make friends and interact a lot with the Taiwanese students there. A lot of them are friendly and willing to meet foreigners, some of them with decent English, some of them really willing to speak Chinese with you and improve your Chinese while using English to supplement conversation and stuff. So I would say definitely just try and make friends. They're really nice people. All of them are open to talking to foreigners, really. With that though, just make sure that you try to use English a lot in your conversations. And what I mean by that is, you might have this impression, at least I did and a couple of my friends did when we were in Taiwan, that with Taiwanese you should only speak Chinese with them. And while it is preferred and it's great for improving your own Chinese, when you want to get to a deeper level of conversation, you definitely should focus more on speaking English in addition to Chinese, mixing the both, using Chinglish as the term is. I use that a lot in my daily life when I'm talking with friends back in the States that speak a little Chinese, or my exchange student friends in Taiwan. I would always mix English and Chinese. I would say do that as well with the Taiwanese students. You can have a lot of fun with it, but at the same time it's a survival skill you pick up, just trying to mix the two. And at the point you guys are, if you're early on in learning Chinese, you'll find that you might use more English, but then slowly fill Chinese in before switching to using Chinese grammar and using mostly Chinese, and then just throwing in English words. You'll always be using English words, and you'll always need to, use phrases like, how do you say this in Chinese? But just keep that in mind. Try to use both. That's really great advice I would have to give when using Chinese as a tool before, especially if you haven't used if you haven't learned another foreign language before. That's one of my tips from, I guess you call me a 2-year vet of Chinese. I've been doing about 2 years. In addition to interacting with students, I would say make sure you keep up with your schoolwork and your academics and your personal interests while you're in Taiwan. You're going to find that you have a lot of free time. That's just kind of a fact of being an exchange student. You're only in Chinese, X number of hours per week. You're only doing classes X number of hours a week. So you have a lot of free time. We spend a lot of our free time in the library. During that time, just try to pick up hobbies. I picked up a little bit of photography in Taiwan and continued it on. I did Photoshop in Taiwan and was able to apply my skills when I came back to the States. Another thing you could do is study for tests back in your home country, do online classes if you've already arranged that with your high school back in whatever country you are. If you already graduated high school, then there's a lot less to worry about, maybe entrance exams for the college you're going to. But just try to keep on top of things. General things, pick up hobbies, use that free time. Try, they should still have clubs at Dayuan, if I recall, on about Friday, and I would say just try to interact with people there. Try to join a club, maybe take up some leadership, put yourself out there. The phrase "you only live once," well, you're only on exchange for a year. I think that's a much shorter time and much more reason to go out and try things. So definitely, put yourself out there. Try things. If you've never done something before, try it. I picked up a lot of ping pong and basketball. I was in Taiwan along with my photography skills. But I still had a lot of free time left over, so you could really use those things to improve Chinese, get out trying things. I'm kind of repeating myself at this point, but I'm really stressing it. Make use of your time. You don't have a lot of it while you're in Taiwan and on exchange. Try to see the whole island while you're there. And some of the offshore islands like Penghu, or go to Jinmen. Those are places that I didn't actually get to go to, but I did go to places like Japan and Hong Kong, Singapore. So since you're already in Asia, and assuming that you're not going to Asia somewhat soon after your exchange, just try exploring if you can. You're going to find that there are a lot of little hidden gems throughout Taiwan, and being able to see them, to add them to your reservoir of memories from Taiwan, it's a great feeling. And looking back, there are a lot of things I'm glad I did do, and some things I regret because I didn't do them. I never regretted something I did in Taiwan, only the things I didn't do. So another tip when you're on exchange in Taiwan is to not pick up another foreign language while you're there. What I mean by that is, I'm going to use me as an example. So I spoke English, went to Taiwan, learned Chinese, and I took about a year of Spanish back in the United States. And when I went to Taiwan, I tried to continue with my Spanish education, but I found really quickly that it was rather hard to continue learning two foreign languages essentially from the base up. It was very hard when you're trying to memorize a word in two different languages. It's not really possible. So you find that my favorite story was a lot of exchange students going to Taiwan in the past try to take Japanese, and none of them could stick with it for like 3 weeks or something, 4 weeks into the semester. So really focus on Chinese while you're there. On the contrary, if you already are pretty good at another language, you've been studying it for a couple years, let's say you're an exchange student from France, and you've learned English for 10 years up to that point, you already have a decent base and are pretty good at speaking already, then you can find that you can still continue with that education in that second language you're really good at, because you're not going to confuse the words as much, or you're more comfortable in that language. So you can definitely keep that up. And also for people that don't have English as their native language, you find that when you can't speak Chinese, you can't resort to your mother tongue, especially in Taiwan, that your English will really improve due to the fact that you're forced to speak that and think in that language when you're not thinking in Chinese. And you also get a lot of confidence in both your native language and maybe another language you're learning after learning Chinese, because you're going to say things in Chinese that you might not have said before because you didn't have the confidence to in English. You find that you get a lot more confidence on exchange for whatever reason it may be. So then when you go and have to make an entire presentation in Chinese, you're super nervous, you're super stressed that you're going to say something wrong. Well, then when you have to make a similar presentation back in your native language, it's a breeze because you are in complete control of what you're saying, and just because you know the language. So that's another cool feature I found of exchange, and one I'm happy to share with you guys. One more thing I'm going to talk about is dating while you're on exchange. So you have 1 year to make a relationship, and that really isn't a lot of time, whether it be with another exchange student or with a Taiwanese student. You find that there are a lot of obstacles in your way, both with some of the school rules, which actually do not say it's not okay to date, so you technically can date, while you're on exchange. They didn't make that really clear to us, but regardless, you'll just find that one, a lot of people there aren't looking for short-term relationships. I would say 1 year is pretty short. They're kind of looking for something longer, and exchange really isn't the time to do that, especially if you're going to, you're going to be on separate sides of the world after the year ends. So that's rather difficult. And also, a lot of people's parents, Taiwanese speaking, aren't comfortable with their son or daughter being with a foreigner. So just keep that in mind if you had interest about that. But still be open if something works out and nature takes its course and whatever, and you find yourself in a relationship. Enjoy that time. Just be happy with it. But no, there are a lot of challenges, and I would say there are a lot more disadvantages than advantages while dating on exchange. And then last thing, when you go back to your home country, whatever it may be, try to keep in contact with people back in Asia for a business aspect, because you will have some roots in Asia, so that's kind of nice to have. But also, you can stay in contact with your friends. It's great to talk to people again, to continue using your Chinese. And with you establish pretty good friendships on exchange because it's a pretty unique experience, and both parties are kind of understanding of what it means to be on exchange. And you'll find that they helped you a lot while you were on exchange, and you find that a lot you're kind of in the needy position, but then you're more in the position later in life to help them out. And definitely keep up with that, keep up your friendships, keep up contact with people like Lao Shi, anyone at the school, and try to keep your exchange as an integral part of your life, and have it supplement your life, but don't have it be your whole life. There is a lot after exchange that goes on, and you can definitely draw on the experiences you had, but just know that beyond what you've done, there is a lot more to do. And really, that's all I have to say about that. Just expect a lot of people back when you come home. They aren't excited about your exchange as you are, quite obviously. So have the expectation that not everyone is thinks it's the coolest thing in the world, thinks it's a life-changing experience. But as long as you keep it an integral part of your life and really appreciate that time, then you can find happiness with yourself over what you did, and really enjoy and reflect and be able to say it was a memorable and positive experience. So those are my tips and advice for being an exchange student at Dayuan International Senior High School. If you have any more questions regarding any specifics or just general questions, go ahead and email me. I'll put my email somewhere in the video. But other than that, enjoy your time on exchange. It's really a life-changing, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Make the most of every minute. Don't waste your time. Really value every moment. You're going to be sad when you leave. There are ups and downs on exchange, and definitely know that there are some really low lows you're going to hit, and some things that you're going to feel bad about in the moment. But when you come back and look back years later, months later, however long it may be, you're really going to appreciate what Taiwan and Dayuan and your exchange year had to offer, and really appreciate that. And that's really all you can say. Good luck this year, guys.